Welcome back to Synergy Bonus. Doing another one of our character creation rounds.
For some rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting.
No.
Yes.
No. This time around, we're making an effort at doing...
The town wasn't big enough for the both
Imagine
of
if
us.
you had the Grim Servant of Death. You would have actually shot Trap at point blank range.
So many dreams would have been realized in that moment.
So yeah, we're doing a cowboy theme this time. We're actually rolling with Deadlands, reloaded in the Savage World setting. And so we're going to make a couple of characters here just to go through how it's done, and...
He's gonna leave us for months on end, because that's what he does.
That's werewolf.
But
Werewolf.
This is close enough. We're testing the theory, man.
It's the West. I mean...
I will be shooting my whiskey straight from my sprinkles glass. Well as these two
we have made
greenhorns
sours.
enjoy their whiskey sours.
You don't understand, dude.
Two? I'm making an abomination.
You don't understand. This
Wrong
is
system.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
This is not America's finest whiskey. This came in a paint thinner can. Like, it's not good. I think they gave me recipes on top here. I don't care. We'll just
Yes, recipes for how to drink our
try our award-winning clear whiskey.
That's
That's
called
just
white
called-
grain alcohol.
That's moonshine.
Black cherry bomb, Stillhouse black bourbon, Stillhouse cherry whiskey, and some bitters.
I mean, everything about this it should be right. A masterful blend of corn, rye, barley, and limestone water, barreled in charred New American oak, charcoal filtered,
The joke's on them. I actually substituted the contents for paint thinner.
mellowed in roasted small batch coffee beans, giving a uniquely complex balance and a smooth finish. It is smooth. I will not argue that.
It's a little rough, honestly.
It's harsh.
Compared to some of the other stuff. Yeah, that's kind of cool though that they gave a bunch of
Yeah.
mixers for that. But
You have to have a palate for whiskey to know when it's really bad whiskey.
I have a palate for whiskey. This is not really bad whiskey. He's just
it's not the greatest.
tenderfoot.
This is a mixing whiskey.
You were not drinking with us the other night. We ordered, Doug ordered a round of bullet shots and then told his coworkers, this is really good whiskey. The faces that were made, I don't think you know what good whiskey is. Well, one of us has a palate.
One of us has
Hello, if you're watching. I don't give a fuck.
And that's why they love you.
Yeah.
Literally.
At least someone does.
Right. So you're going to start as humans, which immediately within the Savage World setting means you get a bonus edge, but we'll get to that later. So we start with your attributes. This one has, instead of the usual strength, dex, we have agility, smarts, spirit, strength, and vigor.
And unlike the normal systems, this is actually dice-based instead of a number. Well, it's still number-based.
So your attributes automatically start at a d4. You have 5 points, each point translating one for one into another die type, for you to increase all of your stuff. At this point in time, d4 and each attribute 5 points to spread among them. Raising a tribute costs 1 point.
So you're supposed to circle it or fill it in?
It's up to you, however you want to mark it.
That's weird.
As long as you can read it. I would probably fill it in just because I can read the different die sizes,
Right.
but that's me.
Maybe a highlighter would be good for this.
Probably.
I'm just doing
Or
X's.
colored pencil. Or something. It's a weird sheet now that I'm looking at it.
Well, that was one of my, as they're filling this in, I had a problem finding sheets for this game because there are a lot of really gorgeous Savage Land sheets or Savage Worlds sheets and Deadlands sheets, and they put a different sheet in the back of like every book. You got this one here from the back of the player's guide, and right away it's a beautiful sheet, but like look at all of those colors and everything. I love the share of stars, the damage track. But that's going to be murder on your printer, just getting through all that.
Right.
Expensive to print. The generic Savage World sheet isn't bad. You know, it'll be
Is
decent.
this the generic one?
This is not. This is another one that I found, and I'll have to see if I can find it again, because I was just clicking through random stuff, and I don't remember what site I got it off. This is somebody's fan-made sheet.
It's not bad.
I like it. It's very black and white. It's very...
I do like they got the setup of 6 shooters and then...
6 shooters for your ammo, and then you got spell points on the bottom there, as you can see. And you can't really see it on these ones because my printer was still running out of ink, but like all of this,
There's
there's the framework here. It's supposed to be.
And it looks like wanted posters.
Yeah, it's
and
also supposed to
such.
be not necessarily wanted posters, but it's the announcements on a public board.
Notices.
And you got like the nice little noose in the wound track here as a coffin. So it was
It's cool.
nice. It's very nice. It's less visually busy than the others. It's still a lot of freaking ink. And when you got to print off more than a couple of these, yeah.
Do it in a public setting.
Yep. Now, as I understand here, Spoonie is making a wandering martial artist.
Yep.
Because apparently we've seen Kung Fu: The Legend Continues one too many times.
Legend Continues is contemporary. You're thinking the original Kung Fu with...
who was the grandfather of Kwai Chang Kang.
I was thinking more
Where it
of
was just Kang.
Shanghai Knights and Dirty Kung Fu.
What? Even the fan broke.
What?
Gundam sounds in martial arts. Phenomenal.
I'm sure there will be a clip to demonstrate.
Yes.
All right, and then
So, real quick,
yeah, what are we doing here?
I ended up just really dumping all my stuff into strength. I'm gonna take some extra points later because I know we should get some.
Yes, sir.
If not, I can jacket stuff around. But I have a D12 in strength now and a D6 in spirit. I'm probably gonna up my agility and smarts later on.
Nothing goes over a D12 in this. The D20 is only used to roll on some charts for the game master, referred to as the marshal in this setting. Frick, what are you up to over there?
I am creating a vaudevillian tramp.
Your name is Honk.
Shut up. It's for me magic. But he is a vaudevillian tramp who is actually a huckster, the setting's equivalency of magic users. So he is associated with the trickster archetype of Arcana and literally the trickster element, and he's a clown.
Everything is clown world with you. All right, so the next thing that you have up is your traits.
Traits or skills?
We did attributes, so next up would be skills.
Skills.
Okay.
Skills fall under traits.
Oh,
Start listing them off.
I
and
just
then-
noticed something, like, because when we originally did this, we had a paper where we wrote everything down. This has nothing written in.
Because you just write in the ones you're going to take.
That's not bad.
Whereas last time we were
I
writing
wrote
this
everything,
down.
and then I put tab D numbers in the
That was our first time generating a character.
Yeah, it's sort of shadow running that way. You just write down what you're going to take. So I'm getting...
I kind of don't like that, I've decided.
Yeah.
I get why it's there. It can cut down on the clutter. But I kind of like to see the other options that are available. Like, hey, I want to put points into this.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of it, but it is what it is.
What about you? What about you? Since he just said it's kind of like Shadowrun, where you would write them in. Like, I get why they like to cut down on the clutter, but I kind of like seeing the other
Basically,
options.
if you don't have a skill, it defaults to... What do you roll if you don't have ranks in a skill? Because in Shadowrun, you just do base attributes.
If you don't have ranks in a skill in this, you roll a d4 at a -2 penalty.
Ouch.
Ooh.
And the default difficulty...
That's worse than Shadowrun.
Yeah, the difficulty default in this setting to do something is a 4. And then you add modifiers, usually in the realm of plus or minus
So
2.
there's actually benefit to just being a generalist.
Yep.
I'm glad I actually took that mentality when I was making my first character, because
Kind of me
generalists are
too.
useful.
Well, I always look like for perceptions and stuff like that. Those are always core abilities.
I
but
took
like,
the
I
survival.
focused on ride and stuff like that.
You went with with Sunset Riders. I shoot
Yes,
and I
thank you.
kill. I followed the same logic. You built Billy because you went with pistols,
did.
and I built Bob because I had shotguns.
Anyhow,
What do we got
so
for
skills. The first one that we're going to the first two actually that we're going to come out with are knowledge. Common knowledge and specific knowledge. Common knowledge is just a generic know-how of your setting that your character happens to be in this case, the Deadlands, what they know of the Weird West. Specific knowledge is something more narrow but more focused. Like, do you know something specific about biology? Do you know something specific about gunsmithing? Do you know something specific about archaeology? And so on down the
Occult.
Occult. And so on down the line. The next thing that we're going to look at is a setting-specific one that I advise anybody that ever is going to play Deadlands to take. Guts. Guts is used in connection with... this setting is a lot like Ravenloft in that there are fear checks. And your guts roll is what you make in order to avoid fear-based issues. And
I didn't take that on my other character.
I wrote it down, but I didn't take it, and I can reallocate points from character generation.
everybody's probably going to have to do that since we were still figuring it out the first time. So that's why I'm explaining it here. You make a guts check when you encounter something horrific or a monster or whatever. And it's modified by things like the area's fear rating, how close it is to being an actual dead land, whether or not you're encountering a monster for the first time, whether or not you're encountering just a horrific inhuman scene of decapitated bodies and so on. Like the first time you stumble across somebody blood eagle on the prairie.
It's Green Wiggly.
That'll be a horror check right there.
Actually, at this point in real life, I'm dead enough inside that wouldn't even bother me anymore.
Right, but your character is still more human than you. So,
This is going to be a role-playing experience.
the other thing that comes into effect with skills here as they're filling out their dice is that your skills rank, the die that you roll for your skill, cannot exceed its linked attribute. So, Spoonie, for example, here, has got a D12 in strength. He can have up to a D12 in any strength-based skill.
That's another thing that, like, again, this is a quality of life thing. I'm thinking D&D. It's like, okay, this is linked to this attribute. Easy number reference and whatnot.
It's a lot like 3rd edition Shadowrun, where the maximum ranks you could have in a skill was based on your maximum attribute. So, like...
Now, this is only a character creation, mind you. You can exceed it later.
Right.
And it's much easier to raise skills than it is to raise attributes.
I was actually just talking about quality of life for the character sheet.
Yep.
Like, if I were to make my own, I would put the list of all the skills, and I would put the linked attributes to it, just for quality of life, number crunching.
And I've seen sheets that do that, and they are cluttered as hell.
Are they? I'll have to look at them too. 'Cause maybe I can print some at work.
This
or
was just the
whatever.
one that I found that I liked best.
Yeah,
if you
that's
find
fine.
something that you like better, that works better for you,
That's fine.
go ahead.
Yeah. So,
Onward!
Onward. For this part, you have, where to go, 15 points.
Each one is a
and
1
it's
for
got
1.
1 for 1.
It's 1 for 1 unless you want to go over the linked attribute. So, for example, like anything that's agility linked, you have just your D4. You can only put 1 die in there. Unless you wanted to go over it, in that case it would cost you 2 points. Okay, now there's one other skill set that's going to go in there, which is applicable to your spellcasting huckster over there, and that's spellcasting. Moving on, we're going to look at other things. Now we're looking at your pace, which is under the detailed stats.
Derived stats?
Derived stats.
It's already got 6 written in the
Not
middle.
stats. Yep. 6 is the default. Parry is 2 plus half of your fighting skill. This is your armor class for this game. Your toughness is 2 plus half of your vigor.
So a 2.5.
Add bonuses to any armor, but you have a grit that is equal to your character level. Your novices, which you are rank 1 right there, 1 piece of grit. Grit is a special stat that is specific to Deadlands. It is an additional point that is added to your guts rolls to resist horror checks. Next is the edges and hindrances. You may take 1 major hindrance and 2 minor hindrances. And then you spend the points that you get from the hindrances on gaining edges or more attributes or more skills or increasing your starting funds. In this case, your starting money is $250. You can increase that. You now have 4 points each from your hindrances. You may spend 2 points to get an edge. You may spend 2 points to get another attribute point up in your agility, smart, spirit, strength, vigor. You may spend 1 point to gain another skill point. Or you may spend 1 point to increase your starting money from $250 to $500.
No, didn't you say we got something bonus to be from being human?
You get a second edge for being, or you get a free edge for being human.
Okay.
Alright, then what's my magic background thingy I gotta take?
Okay, it's arcane background magic, which is page 119. Okay, arcane background magic. It's linked to spellcasting, which is linked to sparks. It gives you 10 power points to start and 3 spells. So there's that. Gear we're skipping for time. And then other background details are up to you. That's your name, your age, and all that fun stuff.
So,
and then,
I mean...
then as we said, he gets 3 spells, but there's
a whole number to choose from.
That's a lot of just sitting here watching.
I gotta say this though, as far as in terms of character creation goes, Deadlands is probably one of the simplest that I've seen.
That was the intention behind the Savage Worlds set. They want it to be very quick to make a character, very quick to pick up and play, and very quick action-based.
Very pulpy.
Yeah, very pulpy. One of the taglines is that my characters have saved the town, rescued the princess, slain the dragon, and and become legendary heroes. Your characters are on combat round 6. So it's when we get to combat, it's going to be very fast, very furious.
I'm going to be throwing shit at people.
The only thing that's really taken a lot of time, like you said, is gear.
Gear, we did gear the other night, and it took just about 2 hours.
We were
mainly because I was looking at guns.
We were expecting to sit. Well, there was only 4 of us, and we were expecting to sit down, make some characters, and then maybe play a quick session. Did not happen, and we started pretty early.
Once again, I was looking at guns.
Yeah, there's definitely a Shadowrun-esque element of gun porn to this if you want. Especially because in setting they even have like the cybernetic enhancements and so on.
Do I want the Cult Peacemaker, or do I want to settle with the Cult Army?
Do we want this one-armed martial artist to have enough cash at starting that he can buy himself a steam-powered, ghost rock-powered cybernetic arm?
Did you take Rich?
I did not take Rich.
Fuck off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the base cybernetic arm is like $2,000.
I'm going to be investing all my money in juggling objects, bowling pins, and throwing knives.
Well, you know what? I will just get rid of those attribute points and take the money and just...
You think I'm joking about the bowling pins and all that shit? I'm based on throwing shit at people.
I didn't think you were joking at all. And
cards wouldn't be out of the ordinary either.
There's actually a spell to turn cards into Setzer-style bladed cards.
Yep. You want to go full gambit, you can do it. Riverboat Gambler Gambit, you can do that.
I'm going to just go and settle for throwing weighted bowling pins at people's heads.
Did you just throw a meringue pie? Yes, and I have 12 more in my pack. It's on my sheet.
I'm a clown. Laugh.
Also, I've performed the explosion spell on these meringue pies. So they're explosive pies. Honk honk!
And then for a slightly different flavor, martial artists, Spoonie didn't go this way, but there's the magical or arcane ability Chi Mastery, where you can just go straight up Dragon Ball if you want.
So you have to go and stand there screaming like you're constipated
for four episodes.
And then the enemy dies.
You guys ever see that outtake thing where they're in the recording booth where Goku's
Why
so
like
hard he passed out?
Scream this.
They had to go and rush him to the hospital.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're getting off topic here. The characters are more or less made aside from the finer details, which are
gear.
And that covers pretty much everything you've got there. The one thing that we didn't touch on, that's a setting-specific thing, is the character's worst nightmare. And that's whatever awful thing frightens this character the most. And it really only comes into play once they've done it.
Mormons.
Apologies to our friends in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
The ching-ching-cha. Ching-cha.
Yeah. But that's the thing that the dark powers in the setting, if they take notice of you, they'll start abusing.
All I can think now is just American Dad. Who are you supposed to be? Donnie and Marie Osmond. What? You guys are dead? We're Mormons. We're born dead. Oh, okay.
I'm finding it amusing. This is the thing that the dark powers will begin abusing if you gain their attention. Mormons? They're going to start tormenting Mormons.
I mean, they already did, but we're getting into meta plots. So. Alright, well, we're running long, so that's probably enough of that. Good night.
The only reason I go with that is my sister-in-law is a Mormon.
Good night.
Good gaming.